I couldn't believe this, man. Okay, so I've been sitting on this email for a while, like a month, but I finally replied to it. That's my bad. I got an email from a person who works for a engineering consultancy firm because they wanted to provide anecdotal evidence to my point that everything is obscenely expensive to make these days. Like obscenely expensive because rent seeking has gotten so bad. And I now have like a picture perfect point of anecdotal evidence that I can offer to supply my argument. Because I remember when I first made this argument, there were like people in there was the people in the Reddit, and the people in the Reddit were like, he's not a professional. He hasn't even worked in this field for 20 years. Okay, well, you know what? I got an email, so how about that? You want some anecdotal evidence? Take a look at this. Okay, I'm gonna read this. Okay, hold on. Okay. And they're supplying a particular anecdote. I'm not going to say the name of the city or the engineering firm. They're just, I do have a photo, and I asked them if I can use the photo. It's not actually a photo, it's a diagram, okay? Hold on, hold on, hold on, okay? Get ready for this. Get ready for this. Genuinely, this is why it's all falling apart. I mean that. I really do mean that, you know? It's like intersectionality, okay? Progressive talking points often meet up in the middle because there is a link between being anti-racist and anti-sexist. And likewise, the collapse of Western civilization is, in my opinion, like fundamentally rooted in financialization and rent seeking, and this is like a root point. This is why everything is bad, not the AP News, okay? This right here, okay? Are you ready for it? I'm gonna read some shit, okay? Attached, this is the email. Attached is the full cost estimate of this project, redoing a small road and its utilities. But for this example, I'm looking at the crosswalk paint lines here. See, you can see the lines here, right? There's the stop line, there's the crosswalk lines, okay? The stop line there is estimated to cost $30 per foot, and the crosswalk paint is $20 per square foot. In total, we've estimated that this crosswalk, only painting it, will cost the taxpayer $4,720. When talking about these grand public works projects, they may not seem very bad, but keep in mind that this is, at most, 4 hours of labor and a few dollars of paint. This crosswalk in particular will use anywhere from a half-gallon to 1 gallon of paint. The paint is specifically made for purposes like this, and it's not expensive to buy. In fact, it costs about $500 per ton if you buy it in bulk from China. Even if, however, the contractor were to purchase this retail, it's around $230 for 5 gallons. For argument's sake, we will say the contractor bought the 5-gallon bucket. Assuming the prevailing wage is around $60 per hour for this labor, that's around $240 per labor and $46 worth of paint. So taxpayers are paying over 10 times what it costs to paint this, even when workers are getting paid really well to do it. Getting shafted has become so baked into our system, this is the estimate that we came up with, not how much it'll actually cost. That doesn't even include the other aspects of finishing this crosswalk. While working, they need to ensure there's traffic control happening, and that's another lump sum of $32,000. The signage that we're installing along the whole road is another $3,000. In total, the cost of this project is assumed to be around $1,436,000. That's all the email. I just read the email. This is what I mean. This is just for repainting the intersection. This is what I mean. This is like a fundamental. We built more beautiful, more technically impressive cities for less money in less time with men who had worse construction equipment. On every level, like every single level of this process has been optimized to maximize rent seeking. Everything is impossibly expensive now. We're talking, I mean, this should cost, like, again, just for the paint and for the labor, about $300. And somehow, yeah, I mean, I don't need to reread the email because it's obscene enough, even in its like first read over. But like, man, nuts. The 1.4 million is for the entire work they're doing here for like redoing this intersection, but it is about between the installation and the traffic blocking about $36,700 just for the painting. Just for the painting. 36,000. This is what this is like the median wage for almost a year. And we're talking about a couple hours of labor. This is what I mean. Like when you, and this is why I think it's so important for leftists to pay attention to like monetary and fiscal policy, because when you get right down to the bones of it, like the rot is so much more fundamental than you think it is. You know what I mean? This is why I stress, like, it goes beyond just, well, insurance companies fleece you of your money. Yeah. But it's like much worse than you think it is. It's so much worse than you think it is. And it's on every level, and it's basically unfixable. It's basically unfixable because the system is designed. In order to fix this, you would need a fundamental rearrangement of incentives, and that would require so much political will on every level that it's almost difficult to fathom. It's really bad. By the way, I just want to say that is only one anecdote that I was provided in this email. Only one. I was provided other anecdotes. And by the way, I just should say this is the least detailed diagram that I received. I have received like very detailed diagrams in this email. Very interesting stuff. I didn't want to share all of it because I don't want to like reveal too many particulars, but this is like a fairly well documented collection of data from one contractor, and it is genuinely obscene. Um, it's really bad. I'm just providing this one because it's the most straightforward and simple one that requires the least like context to get into. Yeah, I don't know. This is the kind. This is precisely what I'm talking about when I talk about like the fundamental rot of rent seeking. It's so much like larger. It's why like when an electrician or a plumber comes to your house, like every visit is $600. You know, everything everywhere. Um, it has nothing to do with like increased pay or like safety practices. It's just built into the system. Does the email talk about what the 10 times literally is going to? Consultancy firms are designed to maximize the number of steps in between a project being proposed and a project being completed so that everyone gets their cut. Like basically every contracting firm is the stereotype of a union to make sure that as many people get their split as possible. So rather than just the people involved in the project getting paid, you have like this this like chain of people involved in the process of verifying it, of ratifying it, of planning it, of double checking and triple checking. And all of these people, mind you, are doing work. The point is to waste human labor and wealth. That is the point. It is you have a process that could be done very efficiently with minimal people and minimal money, and instead you draw it out so as many people and as much money gets involved in the process as possible, thereby creating this like Gordian knot of incentives that like make it impossible to do anything cheaply or cleanly or easily. Like everything gets subcontracted here and here, and you're paying for the like headhunters who find the construction firms, and you have to split it between different ones. Like this guy manages the traffic, but this guy does the painting. Oh, this guy's only specialized in stop line painting, but this guy's specialized in crosswalk painting. You know what I mean? Isn't this the number one advice in the CIA handbook on how to paralyze organizations? You're talking about the COINTELPRO documentation, right? That one of the methods the CIA, well, no, I'm thinking about the FBI. Well, the CIA wrote on this too. That if you want to fuck up like a socialist organization, bring everything to committee. Every decision, every question, every revision, everything should be proceduralized, formalized, and taken to committee so that everything takes forever to decide and everyone wastes their time and everything is unproductive. Everything must like have a conversation had about it. What you do is you eliminate the cornerstone of competence, which in all cases, in all industries, is a reliable person who's been working in the field for a long time who everyone trusts. It doesn't matter whether you're in engineering, civil, like civic planning, the military, ad sales, anything, literally any field, a hospital. The most efficient cornerstone of any organization is the guy who's been there for a long time and does his work good and everyone trusts him. You can have oversight onto that guy, but that guy is how everything works. To be fair, this is how a lot of government bureaucracy works too. Of course it is. The difference being, though, that the government doesn't have a like fundamental profit-seeking motive here. A government bureaucracy might be inefficient, and in many cases it is, but it's not designed to be inefficient to waste as much money as possible. This is why, like our government has shifted so much into public-private you know, contracts over the past century, because the best way to fleece money out of the taxpayers is to use the legitimacy of the government bureaucracy to distribute money to private corporate bureaucracies. You understand? Like, the government bureaucracy might be inefficient in the way that all bureaucracies are, but they are not designed to waste taxpayer money until the private corporation gets involved. Like, if a government bureaucracy uses more money than it needs, where does that money go? Like, it's not like a corporation where the profits just get sucked up to the top or whatever. If it's like a government organization, if it's like an administrative branch or whatever, the money just gets like paid out. It's all baked into the bureaucracy. But with private contracting, oh baby, all excess money gets bled up to the top, you know? Literally, can't we work with budgets? Sure. Good luck getting any quote lower than the one this contracting firm provided. Because all of the contractors collude on this. Does China have the same issue? All capitalist countries have this issue to some extent. China has tamped down on it. America is uniquely bad at it. Like, America is the wealthiest country on earth, but we have the level of like public-private corruption that you would see in like a fucking war-torn African nation ruled by like a dictator and his five brothers. We survive it because we have obscenely large capital markets and a very high average income. But the level of as a percentage, the level of corruption, the amount of money that gets bled away into every project might actually be like the largest in the world. I don't know. I haven't done the math. It is obscene. What if you say fuck off to contractors, just find a guy to do it? It's illegal. Basically, every city in America has long ago, after much lobbying from local corporations, made it illegal to do that. Seriously, go look at municipal law, go look at your local torts and provisions and so on. It is illegal for the cities to do this work directly. You have to go through private contractors, and they have all decided it's gonna be expensive, you know? It's like going to the hospital. Like, you go to the hospital and you need something that's like, you need like an injection and one vial, right? And it's like, it costs $8,000 for some reason, even though the raw parts and the labor combined to provide this to you was like $5 or whatever. Like, you could theoretically find a guy and pay him $5 and have him do it. Good luck getting that, like, through the legitimacy of a hospital. You know what I mean? That as soon as you are like folded into the system, you are folded into the incentive structure for rent seeking. And if you ever tried to be more efficient than that, they would break you and make you illegal. Wouldn't this also apply to renewable energy projects like solar and wind farm? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. It's for everything. It's for literally everything. So untangling this mess is next to impossible. In my opinion, yes. I think that this is one of those things you have to fix like after the collapse. You know what I mean? This is baked in like on a fundamental level. I'll put it this way: the nuance and complexity of the implementation of this level of rent seeking and public-private partnerships is greater than the complexity of any other bureaucracy that has ever existed in human history. The degree to which it's federalized, unprecedented. The fact that basically every municipal, state, and federal government in the West has done this, we're talking about tens of thousands of individual legal bodies that have all simultaneously overtaken by capital interest and captured for their rent-seeking intent. Like, we're talking about a level of federalized complexity that can't really be addressed by any one movement. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Why doesn't the government just hire the contractor employees, pay them better? It's illegal. That's what I'm saying. In most places, it's illegal. The Pentagon's $52,000 trash can. Yeah. Many such cases. It's why the Pentagon gets so much money that it can't account for. This happens to the rest of the world? 100% it does. It's particularly bad in America. When would you say this was legally decided? It's been happening bit by bit, piece by piece, for a very long time, but it is definitely ramped up in the past century. The post World War II era, essentially. when after America became a superpower and we weren't facing like a domestic threat, we didn't really have to worry much about internal instability because America became wealthy enough that we could meet our material needs and everyone got fed, more or less. Obviously, people still go hungry in America, but like by and large, after World War II, we were on top of the world and we had an unrivaled level of domestic production. And as a consequence of that, like with no more internal pressure and everyone more or less somewhat comfortable, you can really buckle down and start rent seeking. Not even post Reagan. Well, I mean, obviously it got worse under Reagan, just like literally everything else. Anyway, I just thought thought folks would find that interesting, that email that I received. It's pretty grim, right? Can people like Mamdani combat this to some degree in a local level? Mamdani would have to like genuinely overwhelm the city council with an unbelievable amount of counter legislation that would have to get passed, and it would take so long and be so expensive, and they would fight back against it so hard. But then you have state level like regulation, right? You have like the New York State probably also has an incredibly complex network of in some cases laws that go back decades, and somehow Mamdani would have to overwhelm the state legislature. And keep in mind that every single one of these changes is incomprehensible to the average citizen, the average voter, but of utmost importance to corpos. So corpos will do or say anything to keep the rent-seeking provisions in line because it represents to them literally like in aggregate trillions of dollars of wealth flowing upwards over time. But to the average citizen, they have no idea what's going on. So you basically have no way to push for it because it's baked in so in like such a complex way. There's not one bill that you can pass called the End Corruption Bill, you know? What would you call a good title to this video segment? Rent seeking is built in. Nah, the title should probably be like, I got an email. It's worse than I thought. Because that's like true, but also kind of compelling, That's like a good YouTube title. More vague? I mean, it's, yeah, but like, I'm sorry, quit clicking on it. What do you want me to do? Begging you one last time to address the bullshit jobs theory. I don't know what you're referring to. Exactly. Say it broke you. Listen, you click on the videos. I don't know what to say. As far as I'm concerned, my obligation to you is that the content in the videos is good. But after that, like the title, the thumbnail, as long as they're like accurately gesturing to the point, like literally, I will do anything to pull you in, okay? If I had a fucking JoJo stand ability that allowed me to physically direct your eyeballs to each of my thumbnails as you scroll past them on YouTube, I would do that. I don't care. I would do that, 100%. There's a fucking gnat in here. God damn it. Joke's on you, I only watch the streams. Motherfucker. My mom works for a nonprofit that helps generate green energy and helps people make their homes more energy efficient. It's actually a duty for the local municipal government, but my mom's nonprofit has to beg them to please let them do it for free while the local government keeps trying to get for-profit contractors to do it worse. Yeah, no, it's like literally. And the reason for that is because the local government, the people in local government, the city councilmen aren't just like oblivious buffoons. They have relationships with local contractors. I guarantee you, every one of the city councilmen who lives in your city has contractor friends. And every time a proposed project goes through, they hear about it and they're like, hey, don't you think my firm could get that work? Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy, buddy. I bet you a lot of those contractor firms probably threaten them as well, Oh, if you don't find work for us, then I'm going to have to talk about how da-da-da, you're going past union, You're going with some underpaid volunteers, What, do you want me supporting your opposition in the next election? This is what I'm talking about. Like, it's this at every single level. So good luck fixing that. Campaign funds and donations too, yeah. It's not America exclusive. America is just particularly bad about it because we have so much capital that the deregulatory pressure is greater. The construction company in my town has a ruthless hold on city council. Yeah, I guarantee you it's like this absolutely everywhere. So good luck fixing this, There. I added the proposed title. Still, it's interesting, isn't it? Our HOA also has this issue where they're trying to propose dumbass building projects that make no sense and do nothing for anyone who lives there. And it's very likely they just want to hire a friend to do the work. Yep. The best thing in almost every single field of human creativity and construction, the best thing you can do is find something that was built 100 years ago. Neighborhoods, houses, clothing, not necessarily cars, but if you go back to like, honestly, tech has advanced quite a bit in the past century, so I can't really say cars, but if you wanted to talk about like aesthetics or innovation, you would want to go to like, yeah, the 1970s or 1980s at least. Obviously, the technology for modern vehicles is much better. Um, Basically everything, like you want to go back 100 years. Furniture? Oh yeah. Anything today built like shit with particle board. You go back 100 years, there were factories in North Carolina where people were on the cheap making furniture so high quality that today it goes for thousands of dollars. Appliances, refrigerators. We've just been making refrigerators worse and worse and worse for the past 70 years. Back in the 1950s and 60s, we built refrigerators that were as good as or better and more reliable than ones today. It's on every level. Like everything has just been getting worse since then in a productive sense. Modern refrigerators have grok. That's fucking true. This is all true, but how are people going to afford a full ass oak table? This is crazy to imagine, but it used to be back in the day, every table was a full oak table. They didn't have like particle board or whatever back in the day. Every table was just a big wooden slab table. Like every table everywhere, basically. Like everyone, if you had a table, it was probably like a big wood table. Likewise with furniture, right? Can you up your volume a little bit? What the fuck? There. Half a decibel. Cars peaked in the early to mid 90s. Great. I mean, if you want to talk about like rent seeking in cars, I've talked at length about how cars are getting generally much more expensive despite not getting better. They're trying to find ways to like repackage everything to you, even if it's really basic. A big one is just the fact that they now deliberately build vehicles to make them impossible to repair at home. It used to be that if you were a bit of a gearhead, you could fix your car yourself. Like, it was complicated, sure, but the parts that you used to construct a car were basic parts. Not like the whole engine block, but if you wanted to do repairs, the bolts, the nuts, the screws, all the rivets, all of them, you could just go to Home Depot and buy them. They're just normal. But nowadays, they use special proprietary screws that you have to go to the manufacturer for in order to replace them. So not only have they made the construction more complicated, they're deliberately using construction parts that are more expensive but less effective in order to make it harder for you to do home repairs. It's not great. Best ovens were in the 1950s, had broilers with elevator mechanisms and shit. Yep. But I don't want to like get too much into the like, how do you say, how do I put this? Too much into the like, well, everything was better back then, and then make a comparison to something that would have cost like 10,000 bucks back then. Because even if you do a direct price comparison relative to the affordability of a middle class person then versus now, you know, on average, things really are just like getting worse. Cheaper, sometimes cheaper, but definitely worse. I think we should be looking towards the future instead of the past. Yeah, the future looks bleak though. So, I mean, I do look towards the future. It's just not very blinding, you know? Look, the closest and the clearest example that I can make of this with regard to my specific knowledge is the fact that nowadays it costs hundreds of dollars to produce a pair of jeans that is exactly equal in quality and construction to a pair of jeans made 100 years ago. Like you have to spend hundreds of dollars to get it because everything that was used to make higher quality clothing back then has gotten rare and old and is now just being maintained by a small group of collectors and enthusiasts over in like Japan or whatever. Um, we literally like can't redo that. We can't remake that. And that's considering the fact that the average cost of like cotton has gotten lower over time because we farm more efficiently than we used to. We don't know how to build the pyramids, asked Vaush. I mean, we know how to build the pyramids, but I guess a better way of putting it would be, do you think that the American government today could build the pyramids? Like, I'm being serious. If there was a city that wanted to build the pyramids and they had the lot for it, they already own the land, do you think they'd be able to build it? Do you think they would be able to? Or do you think they would end up going with some obscenely expensive, less beautiful, chopped down version with a bunch of defects and inconsistencies? At the end of the day, people say the pyramids were built by slaves. They were built by people whose job it was to make the pyramids. Nowadays, we have real construction equipment. Back then, they just had, you know, sleds and ropes and pulleys and shit. The Bass Pro pyramid predates America. That's true. And let's move on. You want to know a real black pill? I looked it up. I looked it up because I looked it up because I was curious. Guess what the Pentagon cost to build? The Pentagon, keep in mind, is an almost impossibly large office building. And it's not just a regular office building, it's one that has to serve as a fortress for the United States military. Like, it is a heavily fortified, extremely, like, this is not built for cheap. The Pentagon is not built for cheap. It's like yeah, it's a city, essentially, in a building on its own. It's enormous. It cost, in modern dollars, 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion. Or less than 1/10 of the cost of replacing the bridge between Washington and Oregon. 1/10 of the bridge that we're going to build between Washington and Oregon. Less than 1/10. And that was considered an over budget project for the time. Honestly, that makes me want to cry. Yeah, we literally can't build anything anymore. It's not a joke. We have literally forgotten how. We already live in the age of the Middle Ages Europeans who built little thatch roof villages in the shadow of Roman marble. You know, the best bet for getting in a good neighborhood that isn't disgusting and ugly is to go to one that was built 100 years ago. You know, we're already in it. It's already happening. We had a brief window of time where the incentives aligned with the productive capabilities, and that was the early Industrial Revolution all the way up until the dawn of modern capitalism after World War II, when the world order was shifted in favor of global capital. International trade. Capitalism existed before World War II, but after World War II was when international trade really kicked off. The gates were open to rent seeking on every level. With these ideas of ruin in mind, would you change your harsh stance against homesteading? Homesteading doesn't fix any of this. The problem is more fundamental than that. I'm not following. Are you saying global trade is good or bad? Global trade is good, but it popped the cork off of global capitalism. And capitalism used to be nationally constrained. You know, a big magnate, a big robber baron in America was an American businessman with American capital working in America. You know, but nowadays, capital is a shiftless miasma that hovers over nations but does not occupy them, does not live inside of them. Therefore, everything everywhere is subject to the price increases brought about by global rent seeking. There's no escaping it. It doesn't matter if you homestead. You could even move abroad. You won't escape it. On every level, at every segment of the economy, every financial interaction has been optimized for maximum rent seeking. And it's only getting worse with time. A little bit cryptographic, yeah. Like, it is a little bit fucked up that America right now is objectively wealthier than America was 100 years ago. But 100 years ago, literally every single kind of nation building was much, 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 much less expensive. Like, more than one order of magnitude less expensive. Isn't that weird? Despite all of the changes to our wealth, the improvement in our productive efficiency, the invention of construction equipment, of modern computers, it is orders of magnitude more expensive to do or build anything. Every hospital visit, every bridge, every road, every street light, every street sign, every painted roadway, everything on every level has gotten to be exponentially more expensive, and it benefits nobody. Nobody except for this invisible blob of capital accumulation above us, this zero velocity blob of speculative capital that just hovers over us and absorbs everything. It did not used to be like this. Like, the parasitism is unprecedented. They build shitty condos for cheap. What you say for cheap is like $250,000 per unit. Cost of building an apartment 19th century. I wonder. Tenements were far cheaper than today, typically costing between $4,000 and $12,000 to construct depending on the size and city. Roughly $4,000 per family unit accommodated. So in modern dollars, that'd be what, like 40,000? Grand structures such as the 6-story French chateau-style Idaho building in Boise cost upwards of $125,000 to complete in 1901. Hold on. I want to look up this building. $125,000 in 1901. Holy shit. $125,000 in 1901. Inflation calculator. More beautiful than any building we build today. Let's take a look. If we go back to 1901, this would be about $5.9 million today. Do you have any idea how little that is? This, 5.9 million. National Register of Historic Places, a building so beautiful that it has been nationally registered as such. Historically valuable, 5.9 million. Do you have any idea how little 5.9 million is? Cost of modern day. No. Let's see how many rooms there are in here. Hold on 1 second. 6-story, round turrets, mansard roof, blah blah blah. How many people can this hold? It was a hotel until it was transformed into an apartment building in the 1970s. How many people? It doesn't say here. Hold on. Number of apartments. 42 apartment units. 42 apartment. Okay, sorry. 52. 52 apartment units. Built over 100 years ago. 52 apartment units. And it cost, how much did I say? How much did I say it cost? About $6 million. Cost of building an apartment, Seattle. A standard 100-unit mid-rise project can cost upwards of $35 to $50 million, not counting the purchase price of the land. So that's for a 100-unit mid-rise project. Scale that down to 50-unit mid-rise project. We're talking, what, 17.5 to 25 million? And with no modern construction equipment, this was 6 million. You can't compare Seattle with boys. This is more beautiful than any apartment buildings we are building today. You realize that, right? I'm comparing shit-ass, cheap, like hyper-efficient, modular, 5/1 construction like this. This is literally like the cheapest. This is like plastic boxes. This got registered as like a national landmark. And it cost 1/10 as much in today's dollars with worse equipment for construction, and it was beautiful. Evidence to your point, the Pentagon cost $500 million to repair after 9/11, or about $900 million adjusted for inflation, or about 70% of the original construction cost. Jesus Christ. 70% of the original construction cost for this. Remember, the Pentagon is a fortress. Even a plane slamming into it only damaged a small portion of the building. I'm sorry, I'm depressing myself. I'm depressing myself right now. Have you considered they're making more profit than back then? Well, that is true. That is true. That is true. So getting rid of contractors fixes this? No, there's no fixing. It's every level. The profit motive is the problem, and good luck abolishing that. Got to remember that in the old building, the rooms might be 10 by 10 apartments. I really don't want to like yell at you, but I have provided so much evidence to this point. Remember, we have 2 bridges connecting the states of Washington and Oregon right now. We have looked at how much they cost to build back then. The replacements are estimated to cost approximately 100 times what they cost back then. No matter how you look at it, no matter how you do the math, no matter how you parse the data, the answer is always exactly the same. Room. The answer is, it's because we're looking at the Pentagon. The answer is always the same. We don't need to like, oh, well, here's this one other factor we accounted for. We've done this a million times. It's the root cause of essentially every problem that we have on every level. Even the social culture war we fight right now, why we're arguing about like trans bathrooms or whatever, it's because corporations are looking to distract us from this fundamental fact. They rob us blind and then they pay Fox News to incite culture war. None of this was a problem until they focused on it back in 2015. That was the beginning of it. And basically every single cultural issue we fight was instigated by the right as yet another distraction from this fundamental problem. I'm not advocating for class reductionism, but there is a root cause here. And it's because if people were actually paying attention to the unbelievable material deprivation that we've experienced over the past century, they would advocate for substantial reform. Substantial reform. Every culture war is started by the right. Every time. Every time. Find me an example of one that wasn't. Find me one. Our positions are the default ones because they align with reality. Every single time the culture war comes up, without exception, it goes back to the right. It's not instigated by us at all.